there, and welcome back to my channel. I am Ashley and this is my channel, Ashley's Home. Thank you so much for coming back to another video. Welcome back for another week of What's for Dinner videos. So I'm going to share 3 new recipes with you guys that definitely are some fan favorites in my home. So hopefully I can show you something new that you can try out for your family as well, and maybe help you get out of a little rut if you're stuck, or just for some new inspiration. So let's get into these meals. So for this next night's dinner, we are going to be making a hamburger casserole. So I have a pot of water, salted water here boiling. And then we are going to toss in, once that is ready and boiled, just a box of these medium shells. The whole box we are going to put in. And we're going to get this hamburger up and browning up here. So I have my little meat masher. I love this thing. It works so good. So we are going to just break this up a little bit, and then we are going to season our meat just to taste. And what we are going to be using to season that is, let me show you here. We're going to season it up with some onion powder to taste, all of this to taste, garlic powder, some salt, and some black pepper. So we are going to season this up. So let me just open these and let's pour it in. And this here is 1 pound of ground beef. I don't think I said that before. So I'm just going to season it up. This is our onion powder. Again, just to taste, but we want it to have plenty of good flavors. Here's our garlic powder, some black pepper, and some salt. Okay, and then we're just going to stir this all together. We're going to let this cook up, and then hopefully our noodles will be ready to pour in soon as well. So I've preheated my oven to 375 degrees, and our water is ready here, so we're just going to toss in our shells and give that a nice good stir. You definitely could cut this recipe in half if you don't have as big of a family as I do. So now that our ground beef is all cooked up, I'm going to drain out this excess grease and get this ready for our sauce. And an easy way that I have found to do that is I just take a paper towel or a couple of paper towels, and I just go all through the meat, soaking up that grease, and then I just throw this out. Now that our meat is all ready for our sauce, the recipe actually calls for 2 10.75 ounce cans of tomato sauce. I have just found over the years of making this that my kids don't exactly prefer it with the tomato sauce, and they more so like it when I just put in a spaghetti sauce. So I'm going to be using this 45 ounce of this Prego flavored with meat, and I'm going to pour this whole thing in here with the meat while our noodles continue to cook. So here I've poured in the sauce, and we're just going to mix this all together until well combined. Just getting all of this meat coated, and we'll leave this simmering here until our noodles are fully cooked. So our noodles are all cooked up, and I have them draining. So we are going to start on preparing our casserole. Okay, so I have greased my 9x13 baking dish. We are going to pour in our noodles. Okay, so let me just grab those, and we're just going, oh gosh, they stuck together. Hold on. All right, so we have poured in our noodles. Now we are going to pour in our meat mixture on top of this, and we're going to just stir everything to incorporate it. All right, so I have all of the sauce mixture incorporated well into our noodles. Now you are going to need, the recipe calls for a cup of mozzarella cheese, shredded. and then a cup of shredded cheddar cheese. So I shredded mine myself. I just had blocks, and I definitely have over a cup here. What I like to do, well, and then instead of just the cheddar, I'm using like a marble Colby. I like to stir in some of the cheese and then put the rest on top. My family just likes it extra cheesy, so definitely add more or less to your family's liking. So I'm going to be stirring this part in. So I'm just going to add a little bit from each bowl so you can see what I'm doing here. That might be helpful. All right, so we're going to stir this all in, and it should already be melting because everything is pretty warm, and then we're going to lay the rest on top. All right, so I have leveled it all out just with my spatula, and I'm just going to put this marble cheese on top first, and then I am going to put in the mozzarella. You can totally mix them up if you prefer to do so. I just did not have any of the just regular cheddar shredded cheese, or even any cheese to shred up for that. So I'm just using what I have on hand. Now that we have all of our cheeses on here, oh my gosh, this looks so good already. I just cannot even wait to take a bite. Here's what it kind of looks through the glass. We are going to cover this with aluminum foil and put it into the preheated oven, again at 375 for 20 minutes. Then we are going to take it off and put it in for an additional 10 minutes. So here it is, going in for 20 minutes. Alrighty, so I just took it out from the 20 minutes. Now we are going to remove this, and a little bit stuck to there, but that's okay. Look how cheesy and yummy goodness that is. So we're going to put this back in so it kind of gets, you know, a little browned for an additional 10 minutes. So here is my plate of food. I just served it alongside of a garlic knot. I did not have any salad, so otherwise I would have had a side salad along with this, but this turns out so good every single time. I highly recommend you give this one a try. Let me show you here. I mean, it's just so cheesy, so delicious. You absolutely cannot go wrong with this. Again, if you don't want to use the spaghetti sauce, pasta sauce, whatever you call it, you definitely can follow the exact recipe. I will have this recipe linked down in the description box below if you wanted to do it exactly to the recipe and the tomato soup that it calls for. So here's two of my kids enjoying their food. My son has already eaten because he couldn't wait. He's just eating his garlic knot now. And my daughter, Bailey, my other two are at their activities. So my husband is picking up one of them and dropping off the other one. So picking one up from gymnastics, dropping the other one off at dance. So what do you think of the dinner? Do you like it?
Yes.
Is it delicious?
Yes.
Yes. All right. So here again, so good. Give this one a try. All right, so for tonight's dinner, we are going to be making one of my family's definite all-time favorites. Not even just in my home, but in my whole family in general that I make. So we are going to be making a baked ziti. So what you're going to need for this recipe is a box of ziti noodles or rigatoni. I use rigatoni. 6 ounces of sliced provolone cheese, 1 pound of lean ground beef. This is actually 1.5 pounds, so I won't be using this whole amount here. 2 26-ounce jars of Prego sauce or whatever spaghetti sauce. You don't have to use Prego. That is just what I choose to use. And instead of using 2 of the 26-ounce jars, I just use 1 of the 45-ounce jars. It's just a better value, and it adds plenty of sauce. You also want to use 1.5, or you're going to need 1.5 cups of sour cream and a couple tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Mine is grated. You could use shredded. I will have the exact recipe linked down in the description box. And the one item that I will not be using today, because we don't cook with onions in our home, so you would also want to have 1 onion and just dice that up, and you're going to cook that along with the meat. So let's get this started. So I just have a large pot of boiling water on the stove. It's not quite boiling yet, so I'm just going to salt my water to help it boil quicker. And then it's also going to add flavor, of course, into our pasta when it is cooking, but we will, of course, be draining it. So I'm just going to give that water a good stir to get that salt all incorporated. And we're just going to let that boil up. I also have my oven preheating to 350 degrees. Now I've just turned my pan here onto medium heat. You could do medium high, and I'm just going to start to break up my ground beef. And this is also when you would add in your onion to get it cooking with the beef. And the recipe doesn't call for any seasonings in the meat, but I like to season my meat usually, so we're just going to keep it fairly simple for our seasonings. And this is my handy gadget little tool. If you don't have one of these, they are truly amazing. I ordered it from a fundraiser that my daughters were having one time for dance, and I love it. So, but I know you can purchase them pretty much anywhere. I'm just going to go ahead and add in some seasonings. I'm just going to be using a little bit of Italian seasoning. So we're just going to put a little bit in of that. This literally is all to taste. So, like I said, the recipe does not call for any seasonings, but I like to season my meat. So we're also going to use a little bit of garlic powder. You could even put, you know, fresh garlic in there if you wanted to do that. We're just going to put a hint of some black pepper. Just literally a little bit of that. And then lastly, I'm just going to be adding in a little bit of onion powder. But again, if you are adding in actual chopped up onion, then you don't have to add any of it really. It's just my personal opinion or preference to season up my meat. So we're just going to give this a good chop and a good stir. And then we're going to just let this cook up, and our water should be ready shortly to go ahead and put our pasta in. But you can literally get, with this tool, pretty much any size of beef crumbles that you want. And it just makes it so much easier rather than breaking it up with a large spoon or a wooden spatula, which is how I used to always do it. So now that our water is boiling, we're just going to go ahead and add in our pasta. And we're just going to give it a nice stir. And we're going to let these cook away. So now that our meat is all ground up, I've just kind of split it to the side a little bit. And we're just going to remove the excess grease that's in here. It really doesn't have much at all. It's a very lean ground beef. So I'm just going to take my little chopper and a paper towel, and I literally just, we're going to turn this down just a little bit, but I just move it around in here like this, and it just soaks up all of that grease. And I love when it's a super lean beef and we don't have much grease in there at all. So that is always really good, but this is a super easy way, so you don't have to be measuring or messing with, and there it is, straining it or anything like that. Now I've just turned this down to a low heat. We are going to pour in our pasta sauce, the entire container of it, or both of the 2 jars if you're doing that. And we're just going to get all of that goodness out. We're going to give it a quick stir, and then we will let it simmer on the stove for about 15 minutes, or pretty much until your pasta is all finished. Just giving this a good stir, and then it's all incorporated, and we're going to let that simmer. So I am so sorry, I totally forgot. We do have one more ingredient, and it's 6 ounces of mozzarella shredded cheese. I shred my own, so you'll actually see me using my handy little gadget here that I got from Christmas that I wanted so bad. So I'm just going to shred up an 8-ounce block of mozzarella cheese. This seriously is so easy to use. It's super quick, and it tastes so much better when it is fresh. So, and these blocks tend to be a little bit cheaper than the pre-shredded. So this actually came from QVC. Has a couple different attachments inside, and you just lock it onto your counter and you crank it and go. It does have a protective piece for the top, so you don't have to, you know, accidentally cut your hand or something like that. So literally I just take it like this and you just start cranking. It has a couple different sizes for the blade inside. There is also a blade that you can actually use. No, I'm sorry. What you can actually do is shred potatoes in here to make hash browns. So I've never done it yet, but so you can see it's just starting to come out. I made the mistake of not pulling it out one time and it kind of got tangled in there. So you just do like that. And then we are going to have our shredded cheese literally in like a minute. So I've grabbed my 9x13 baking dish. I'm just using my glass one. And you could spray it with nonstick spray if you prefer, but I actually butter the inside of this only when I do this recipe. So I just put my hand inside a Ziploc bag and I just scoop some of the butter on there and just grease the dish. And it really works amazing for this recipe because the noodles are going to go down first, so we don't want any of that to stick. And it's super easy, just like this. Alright, so our noodles are all done cooking. We're going to get this drained up and start assembling our dish. So we are going to start off by pouring half of our noodles into the bottom of the dish. So very hot. I'll get my spatula. You want it to have a good base for everything to sit on. So we're just going to spread these out here. And then we're going to lay down all of the provolone cheese. Just going to lay down all of these slices. Now we are going to lay down our 1.5 cups of sour cream. I really just eyeball it usually, but I probably have about 1.5 cups left in this container. So we just want it to have a nice, good, thick layer. And my husband, little side note, my husband actually does not like sour cream at all, but he loves this meal. So I think because it's baked in here and you can't really taste it as the full sour cream taste. So we're just going to flatten all of this out, spread it out so this whole layer is coated. We're going to come in with half of our sauce and meat mixture on this layer and just spread this out. Just like so. And then we're going to come in with our noodles again. So now you're going to use all the rest of the noodles that we had cooked up. I place these literally one by one, but you could do it however you want. I just like to evenly distribute it and kind of put anywhere there's gaps and stuff like that. Okay, so now that we have all the noodles in here, we're going to go ahead and add in our 6 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese. I have about 8 ounces, but it's all right. We love it extra cheesy. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to cover this entire layer with our shredded cheese, and then we're going to come in with the rest of our meat mixture. So I'm just going to evenly distribute this all over. So now that I've added the very last of our meat mixture, I'm just going to sprinkle the top with some Parmesan cheese. The recipe says 2 tablespoons. I literally just eyeball it. You can do however you choose. You could leave it off. If you don't care for it, you could add more mozzarella cheese on top, however you want to do it. So we're going to put this into our preheated oven. Again, was at 350 degrees, and we're going to put it in there and bake it for 30 minutes. So here it is, all plated up, so smelling so good, looking good. I just served it alongside of a piece of garlic bread. I had salad earlier in the day, so I wasn't feeling salad on this night's dinner, but it turned out so good and so cheesy. If you're going to give any recipe a try, this is definitely one of the ones to give a try. I would love to know if you end up trying out one of the recipes. You can always send me a picture to my email. I would love to hear how you guys enjoyed it or how it turned out and looked. So definitely, if you enjoy this one, give it a thumbs up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's What's for Dinner video. Hopefully I showed you something that maybe you can make for your family as well. Let me know down in the comments if you think you're gonna try out any of these recipes. And as always, we'd love to have you here. So go ahead and subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.